My name is Paloma. Today we're going to do one of our Star Local Go Global events online. These events are happening every Wednesday at 5 p.m. And today we have a few special guests with us that we're going to be introducing in a little bit. Before we start, I'm going to share my screen with all of you so we can introduce you guys a little bit about what we are here for today. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is another Jovian Collision. Jovian Collisions are the space we're creating in partnership with JUPTER and Founder Institute to help entrepreneurs to exchange ideas and to think about this new future we are creating. Founder Institute and JUPTER are creating this movement with a few partners to explore after this pandemic, what is this new future and new normal we are experiencing? What stays after this pandemic? What changed? And how can we entrepreneurs come together to help to create this new future? Founder Institute, for those of you who haven't been in our previous webinars, Founder Institute is a global program. We are in over 180 cities worldwide. For the past 10 years, we have been helping over 4,000 entrepreneurs all around the globe to build their companies. And since 2015, we have been in Brazil, running chapters in 12 cities with 51 batches of acceleration program. We have accelerated already 1,200 entrepreneurs across Brazil. 300 of those have graduated from our programs. Are our alumni. And they are all getting supported and help from over 1,000 mentors across Brazil, like 3 mentors we have here with us today. They're supporting this early stage pre-seed entrepreneurs to make a difference. Our program has 2 tracks. We have the launch track and the growth track. So for any entrepreneur that is today pre-seed, which means you not necessarily are incorporated, if you're still in a launch stage, you might have an idea, you're still working in another company, but you're planning on launching this company. So this program is for you. Not necessarily you need to be full-time, you can be part-time building your company and testing and validating your ideas. If you already have a company, a full team, and have incorporation, we have a growth track, which will help you testing even more, validating even more your assumptions, and being ready to grow. During this COVID-19, Founder Institute as a global initiative really took on digitalizing all our processes. So we have today 100% of all our program and sessions online. That has brought a lot of benefits to our startups, mainly with extra mentoring and office hours from across Brazil and across the globe. We have overcome our limitations of the physical location. I am a Founder Institute graduate myself. I did the program in 2015. It's still with a lot of physical events, and I have been experiencing this transition in the past month and seeing yesterday, for those of you who saw, we had our first batch graduating online. We had our first online demo day happening with John Kepler, and the grads are experiencing a whole new normal, even in the acceleration program. Right now we have cities recruiting. So if you're looking into launch or grow your pre-seed company, here are a few of our cities that are recruiting right now. You can go in fi.co/join/Brazil and check out the dates and how to finish your application. For all of you guys that are here in this call today, the application test, which is our DNA test, how you get selected to the program, it's gonna be free of charge. So you're gonna receive an email tomorrow and you can do your application for free. We also have one special program with applications open, which is called the Star Local Go Global. This is why we're here today. This special program is for those of you who are English speakers, who have English as a second language or even as a first language all across Latin America, not only Brazil, who are looking into launch global companies from day one. So not necessarily you already have to have a company open, but if you're looking to solve a problem globally, a global problem, this is a few fellowships. They're standard in Founder Institute. So if you have been a part of the NASA Space Apps Challenge or a Startup Weekend event, we have special fellowships for you guys. And if you're developing a frontier technology, Rocelo is probably going to tell us more about a few of those today. Or if you're a female founder, we also support a lot female founders. And we have fellowships all across all our cities in Brazil to promote more female founders. We also have one special fellowship that was created through this pandemic. It's a new fellowship that Founder Institute globally launched last month. For those of you that are creating solutions to prevent and mitigate public health issues, please go into fi.co/join/public health and check it out. We really want to support and incentivize founders to create the solutions to the future. We also know that a lot of startups nowadays are facing challenging times and laying off a few of their great employees. But we also know that a lot of our companies in our portfolio are growing exponentially during this pandemic, and they're looking to hire good talent. So one of the initiatives we are creating also is Talents for a New Future, which pretty much is mapping these opportunities of reallocation within our network and helping professionals to connect with the startups and to join their team. We also know that a few of those professionals are looking into start their own company. So we have a few fellowships specially designed to help these people to find their new future through this program. I want to especially thank a few of our partners. Here we have today Bruno Ceschin from JUPTER. He's our main partner, venture partner of Founder Institute here in Brazil. Also a shout out to all our national partners, as well as our legal partners. We know that to build a company, especially a global company from day one, you really need to have your paperwork together. So we have partnered with local legal partners all across Brazil in your regions to support you to do things properly from day one. As well as we have two partners from the Store Local Go Global, Feijão Lopes Advogados and Drummond Advisor, who are specifically helping founders to start a global company from day on and understand that challenges. So thank you so much for all of you to connect to this event today. As Founder Institute Brazil, we're really committed to make Brazil happen. This is a massive transformation movement. And from you joining with us here today, we want to share this mission with you, which is to generate at least 100,000 jobs across Brazil in the next few years. So just by being a part of here, we believe you're joining this mission. We really want to create jobs and make a better country. And we're super excited to have you here with us today. And with no further ado, I want to introduce our guest speakers today. We wanted to talk a lot about the future of startups with you guys in this Wednesday events that have been happening. And one topic that was really coming out was about fintechs and how are we evolving this market to fit this new normal that we're living. So we brought here today 3 special guests. Rocelo Lopes is the CEO of Stratum Blockchain Technology. Flavio Gonzalez is the former superintendent of SafraPay and co-founder of Bias2. And Bruno Ceschin is the director of Founder Institute Brazil, and also from JUPTER. So I want to thank you all guys for being here with us today. The idea today is to really get this conversation going, and I welcome everyone that's in the call to use our Q&A button. Soon we're gonna be opening for questions and answers. This event is supposed to be a conversation, so you guys can bring your questions and talk with us. So please use the Q&A button. We're gonna be taking questions soon. For now, I'm gonna invite Rocelo Lopes to introduce yourself a little bit to us. Thank you so much for being here.
Can I just say something, Paloma? Just
a
quick word here. Hey guys, so this is Nima Kazrani from JUPTER and Founder Institute. I'm looking at some beautiful faces there and beautiful minds. I want to thank all of you guys for participating today in this very special event. I want to thank, obviously Bruno, my partner. It's his birthday week, so this is an awesome birthday present for Bruno. And Flavio, thank you so much for your mentoring in our program in Porto Alegre. The guys in Porto Alegre are so much fans of you. And Michelle Costa was like, this is the guy we got to have on this call. So we're really happy to have you here. Thank you for coming on board. And Rocelo, guys, Rocelo is a hero of some sorts in the Brazilian fintech world. Rocelo has been developing blockchain solutions for many years before it was popular. In fact, when it was actually frowned upon, and Rocelo is a guy who's gone through really hard times to get here. And I'm really proud to have you here together with us, Rocelo. Thank you so much for your time. So I'll pass the microphone over to you now, and that's it for me. Thanks, guys. I'll be listening.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. Yes, my name is Rocelo Lopes. I'm the CEO of Stratum blockchain technology. Been working with blockchain since 2013. But with telecommunication and crypto technology, I think since like I was 20 years old, and then right now I'm 48. So it has been a lot developing things. And when I first saw blockchain, was something that I saw straight away. That those the fintechs, the new companies that is based in financial system and the financial market, they definitely will need some technology like this. So since then, since 2013, I have been working on these things and developing a bunch of different technology and then products that actually the market will need. And most important, I think there is a new generation coming out on the fintechs that will be strictly based only in blockchain. And maybe the way we know how companies are being built today, we're gonna change a lot, especially because normally everybody is like always, oh, I need to do the registration of this, I need to do that. Well, with the blockchain, there is no such a thing. The blockchain, maybe one day we're gonna see companies being built with nobody knows who the owner is, no one knows who's actually is involved, and has been funded by anyone from anywhere in the world, and all needs to be done is, as long as the contract has been respected, the company will be still running. So for this generation that is coming, it's really, really important to understand where exactly the blockchain technology will fit in your business. And then most important, those ones that is working on the fintechs, looks like a banking system or the financial system that everybody knows exactly how it works today will change a lot. And then for sure, a lot of people ask questions about how can we do it and then what can we do it. Well, I'm here today, and whoever wants to ask any questions related to that, I'll be more than happy to answer every single one of them.
Thank you so much, Rocelo. You said a word that for me is like music to my ears, which is democratize financial systems. And I know that Bruno at JUPTER, you guys are working a lot to democratize the access to capital for startups. So I want to welcome you to say a few words. What have you guys been doing up there in that planet? And tell us a little bit more about also your background.
Thanks, Paloma. Hi everyone. I'm Bruno. I'm the co-founder of JUPTER. I basically have been working in the financial and investment industry since a few years ago, like more than 10 years ago, I started. So since then, I've been working in many types of financial institutions, and I co-founded a few of them. And after 2012, I started to observe the movement of fintechs being born in Brazil, much on the development of the startup ecosystem in Brazil. And I invested in Asas, which is financial services for small entrepreneurs and small companies to help them charge their customers and use credit card and issue slip payments. We call boletos in Brazil. And we've been, Diego's there, one of the co-founders. Good to see you. So since then, because of this investment of my time and money into these great founders, they taught me how to invest in startups, which was awesome, and we could exchange lots of knowledge on how the financial market works and how it should be working, and it was definitely not working for everyone involved. So the company is thriving, going pretty well, and growing a lot. So after this well-succeeded investment, I met Nima, who's just introduced himself, to co-found Jupiter, the planet for entrepreneurs, in order to find, fund, and launch a new generation of startups. And we've been doing that with the purpose of building a new infrastructure, a new type of startup operating system that could help us to identify very early guys like Diego Contesini, who is here, the co-founder of Asas, and other co-founder of startups that are building interesting things and we should fund. So our job is to find great entrepreneurs even before they know they're great, and to back them very early. And it's been pretty amazing what has been happening into the financial technology environment in Brazil. We're going to be talking a lot about this during this panel. So thanks for the invite, Paloma, and all of our team is here to help democratize the access to the great people and to the investments in Brazil in startups, basically.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bruno. So you guys know I'm a Founder Institute grad myself from 2015. And my early angel investment was through Jupiter as my leader and also other angel investors. So I'm really thankful for that. And it's really helpful to have institutions like that supporting entrepreneurs in this really early stage, which is really challenging for us financially. So now I want to invite Flavio. Actually, this is an amazing opportunity for even me to learn a little bit more about Flavio. This is, as mentioned, as Nima mentioned, Flavio is one of our mentors from Founder Institute Porto Alegre. And we're really excited to be bringing a lot of the team of FinTech to Porto Alegre this year. We're bringing a lot of good mentors and partners together to help founders from that region, but also from all across Brazil, to have the skills to build the future of financial services. So Flavio, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Just to share with you guys a little bit my background, I've been working for almost 15 years with payment, acquiring, banking, and financial services in different areas such as finance, business and product development, innovation, and digital transformation. in companies like GetNet Santander. I've started in GetNet in 2007, before Santander is coming. At that time, it's maybe a stone age. At that time, just Cielo could process Visa and just Redcard process MasterCard, and that's it. We didn't have any other schemes. And it was a good journey. I also had the chance to be part of projects in Latin America, US, Europe, and even in Australia, where the smart terminals, the POS Android-based terminals was born. At the beginning of this year, I've decided to become an entrepreneur, and I found Bias2. Bias2 is a company focused on helping other companies grow in this new banking and payment ecosystem through consulting and IT platforms. We are expecting this new local deregulation, such as instant payments, open banking, and the new card receivables collateral that central bank is just promoting right now. About fintechs, I'm very excited to talk about fintechs, because I think this is the time. I'm pretty sure this is the time. If you want to create your own fintech, this is the time. We can clearly see at least three mainly sources reshaping the market. Technology, first of all, and of course with blockchain and other technologies. But nowadays you can create your own company inside the best possible infrastructure with the same cost levels of cybersecurity and scalability as large banks have. The second one, I've never seen the regulators' agenda like that. Central banks is just promoting. They are changing laws, creating new roles for fintech. They are opening the bank's environment for the first time in the history. And of course, we have the third one, the new customers and new business model. And here I'm talking about B2C and B2B. In both, we have the opportunity to increase user experience, reduce prices, and customize products and offer by segment. For the first time, I've seen those big players like big banks want to sit with fintechs, want to sit down with the startups. And they are willing to be just the back-end solution. I've never seen this before here in Brazil. So I think, thank you again for having me in this panel. I'm fully open to discuss this thing. And of course, I'm very excited about fintech in the Brazilian Latin American market.
Thank you so much, Flavio. So again, guys, I'm going to invite now all questions on the Q&A. I'm going to start with one. And then after, we're going to open for questions from the audience. Right now, all of you three, feel free to jump in. What we have been seeing during this past month is more and more the paperless movement happening. I don't know you guys, but I haven't touched in a bill, a real bill or a dollar bill for at least 40 days now. And that was already happening, but it feels like it has been a little accelerated nowadays. Flavio mentioned even regulamentations about how do you deal with money now in this new scenario. So I wanted to kind of hear from you guys, and maybe we can start with Rocelo. What have you guys been seeing that change really from your market in the past few weeks? And are these changes here to stay? Do you see us going back to the way it was?
Well, it's actually, we always have the two sides of the coin, right? So everything that's happening here in the market now with the COVID and all that, showing that maybe it's time to put pressure on the government, on the financial system, that you need to stop this thing to printing money, and there is no way to keep that thing going, especially because it's expensive, it's not safe, people going out and then withdrawing money or having money in their pocket. So especially for tourists that they come to Brazil and then they have to withdraw money, that is not safe. So all that is showing that it's time to change, to stop to use those bills and to start to use paper notes, so right? So, but also put a little bit of pressure on the government, because it's stopping bills on the market, it's stopping that old-fashioned way of money. We need to also develop a lot the way people access the internet. Because if you go to, let's say, for example, from Acre or from Manaus or Amazon, you don't have internet there. So some people will not have access to the internet. And then in a way to use this new payment system, electronic, and through the internet or the machines, you need internet access, because if you don't have it, it's very complicated. So that also going to put pressure on most of the financial system all over the world to do that. And that's what I think the fintechs were just coming. So we found like a fintech in Brazil, they call it Atarpay. And then what we did, a lot of people that they do have cryptocurrencies, they have Bitcoin, or they have Ethereum, or they have XRP. So different cryptocurrencies, they say, oh, okay, great. So I don't want to exchange these, send to my bank, and then withdraw the money to pay anything because I use cryptocurrency. So we create a bridge between the crypto user and Atarpay. And then they have this beautiful band, which is an ENFC. So you don't have even to actually hold a card with you. Any machine that accepts NFC payment or contactless payment, you'll be able to do it. For the people that use cryptocurrencies, all they need to do is they go to our app, and then they put the amounts that they want to exchange, and then they exchange 3 seconds later, they just can go there and just pass the band, payment done. So you see, it's a way that we created this thing, this connection, because what's happening right now in the world. And then we have been working on this thing for like more than 2 years. And then finally we have to speed up the process, because a lot of people are saying, well, it's not safe to carry money anymore, especially exchanging bills. All right, great. Now you can be your own bank holding your cryptocurrency, which is, I think, is the future. And when you decide to expend your money, you just convert on the moment that you want for what you want, and then you just do it. And the beauty about it is you can use anywhere in the world. Most of countries, the machine, the POS machines, they're ready to contactless. So it's a very nice way to do. And I think those solutions, the QR code payment and all that, is coming to replace the way the world are dealing with money right now. And of course, we're going to save the government a lot of money, because printing money, it's expensive. So I think we are doing our things on our side to make sure any crypto user are able to use it anywhere in the world, anytime, 24/7.
Wow, it sounded so far away a few weeks ago, but it sounds so necessary today, right? It's incredible. I think it's really interesting that you use the word speed up. How we're seeing in a lot of markets, what for a few of us was a truth. And Nima, that's in the call here right now, I always say, like, what's the truth that you know it's real and not that many people believe in you? And I feel like crypto, more and more people are starting to believe and see the necessity of it. So really cool.
Bruno, just let me add you something, which is really cool, because you said that. It was amazing that another day I went to like in a country town far from the city. And actually I played a joke with the girl, because I told her that I'm going to talk with her machine. I was with my band and I covered the band, and I told her, I'm going to talk with your machine, and your machine will accept my payment. And I just put my hand on top of the machine, and I says, you will accept my payment now. And then the machine, and then the payment went through. So she was saying, come on, you serious? It's, yeah, this is the future. The future is I will talk with the machine will understand I'm paying, and that's it. So people are, when they see those new payments coming, even let's say if some stores that is far from the main city, now they will see those new kind of payments coming, and it's going to be easier and then easier for them to understand that the paper money are gone.
Bruno, I know that there's a case also in one of the JUPTER portfolio companies that use QR codes. Really interesting to hear your thoughts on what are you seeing from the startups, from Founder and JUPTER portfolio. What changes are you seeing in that market?
Yeah, so these are two different questions. So the first one, the Jupiter portfolio company in this space is Cold Money. It's a QR code wallet type of company. They were attacking the markets of restaurants and bars, providing them with a wallet that you can simply pay without getting a line in the restaurant. So that they got really on a hard time because of the pandemic, because no one is going to the restaurants anymore and just maybe ordering at their homes. So they had to pivot to QR code for lives, because people are watching lives all day and they want to donate their money, and they just can't build an infrastructure that can accept that money. And they're doing pretty well in this sort of temporary shift. So it has nothing to do with the fintech itself, but the fintech is flexible and dynamic. It can adapt to other markets and other types of new normal. So if no one's going out anymore, they can adapt. But the QR codes, the thing that Rocelo just said, is just the QR codes, and they came to stay. We have the PIX now coming here in Brazil. So the central bank QR code standard or protocol for payments. And this is a revolution that has already taken place in China. So China is pretty much paperless now, or at least going to that type of situation where you don't need paper money anymore. And now it's not the future anymore, it's already the present. So but we're also seeing lots of advance in this open banking and let's say underlying layer of the fintechs. So not only on just like Rocelo just said, on the front line, where the end user is consuming a fintech itself, or consuming a payment in a different way, which is already a trend up in the hill. It's there's no turning back for sure. But also Brazil is now going through the revolution of open banking and open platforms. Then I can plug my financial technology service into other people's open banking platform. So in order to compete in this market now, you no longer need to have a distribution channel, because that's one of this has been one of the largest entry barriers for newcomers for so long. Because if you wanted at least 10 or let's say 20 to 25, 30 years ago to open a new company and to compete in the financial space, you had to build a network of chains, right? You need to open a physical stores of your bank, or at least have a online distribution channel where you can get new customers in. But now you don't have to be the distributor anymore. You can just plug into the distributor. For example, if I'm a new asset management company and I manage assets, investments, just like we do in Jupiter, I could just, 10 years ago, I could, if I wanted to manage someone else's money, I need to go and raise all these people's money and distribute this, actually to raise this money from people one by one. And nowadays, if I'm a good asset manager, I can just plug to XP or XP, and they can be the distributor for me. If I'm good enough, of course. They have all the criteria they have to match. I need to be a licensed money manager. You need to comply, of course, but it's possible. If I'm a good manager and I'm in the beach right now, I don't need to be in São Paulo anymore to raise the money. I just plug it into the platform. So there's a huge platform shift going on into the middle, let's say the middle layer of the financial industry, and especially in the back office or in the back end of this technology. So this is pretty different now, because you can start and test a new product and scale pretty much on weeks or months. You can get into millions of customers in a country that 20 years ago you couldn't compete with Itaú or Banco do Brasil, because they were all monolithic structures where they provide the financial service to the end user, and they also was responsible for building all the layers of the financial service and technology. And now these parts are moving parts. So what's happening into the world in this situation is that it's happening a fintech, let's say a fintechization of the world. Everything becomes a fintech. Even Apple is a fintech now. Everyone is a fintech. So fintech is not a thing anymore. Fintech is the end of pretty much any company now, because if you can add value to your network, if you have a chain, if you have end users, you can just plug financial technology from other providers. That's why Rappi is becoming a sort of a fintech, because they have their credit card and they do POS payment now in restaurants. This is why iFood has a payment company, and so many others will come. I was even talking to an entrepreneur from Curitiba, one of our mentors here in Curitiba, and he's famous by being an education technology entrepreneur, like EdTech. And then last time I talked to him, he said, yeah, maybe I'm a fintech now. And everyone is becoming a fintech now. So that's what I see happening now.
Awesome. Thank you, Bruno. Flavio, I really want to hear your story. You're coming from this bank structure, large structure corporation, and jumping to become an entrepreneur recently. And then this pandemic hits. How are you building a fintech from, and I think a lot of our listeners are thinking about doing this leap from maybe a corporation to entrepreneurship and building their own fintech. So can you tell us a little bit about how was this experience for you? What are you guys doing now through this pandemic? And what are some struggles that maybe you can share with our audience that are thinking about following a similar path?
Okay. I think it's a pretty huge jump when you left Safra Bank. It's the more traditional bank that we have here in Brazil, and become an entrepreneur. But the period that I choose to do that, I think it was the best time ever. Because if you think what Bruno just said, every company needs to become a fintech, because their monetization model pass through. You have some revenue, some source of revenue coming from the financial services, of course. And as a fintech, but not a fintech in B2C, we are a fintech in B2B. We help those companies, for example, big companies from retail. This is a example real. A big company from the retail became a fintech, became acquired, became an issuer, a card issuer. I think everyone in the ecosystem are thinking about how can I make money in the financial services. So this is of course this is good for an entrepreneur and a fintech, but this is a trick, because when you see your competitive landscape nowadays, you see some big banks. Just as Bruno mentioned, and again, iFood, for example, it's a huge platform. It's a huge delivery platform who belongs to a Movile. It's a huge, and iFood tried to push to the restaurants the Movile Pay, those machines from iFood. And until now, they are not being succeed because there's some bundle, there's some offer between banking, acquiring, issuer that need to be blown up. If you see the market, the fintech market nowadays, at least at the end of 2019, we had more than 600 fintechs registered on Radar Fintechs. 600. And at that time, we still had 45 million unbanked people. There's something wrong here. Those fintechs, they are not addressing the pain, the consumer pain in all states of Brazil. So if I could say something for a new fintech, it became a fintech as soon as possible. But look out for at least 5 points. You need to know which will be your product market fit. Which kind of problem you solve. Which part of the ecosystem you will be part, and how you will monetize your business. And please, this is a double please. Don't underestimate your customer acquisition cost. Those 600 fintechs, they are just fighting for the same customer that you will fight. So you need to think how you will scale your sales and what's your offering. If I could give another advice is think about market niche. Think in solve some problems for some segment. For example, try to understand how is the financial scheme in bakery. How to address the solutions that those customers have. I think we will see in the next months and years a lot of fintechs broken, but we will see a lot of fintechs have been succeed because there is a space to make money in fintech service. But you need to think. You cannot look to the past and try to do the same. So this is my advice for a fintech guys who want to start a new business.
Wow. On that note, now that everyone is quarantined, Rocelo, how are you guys operating in this mode? How do I build a fintech even though I'm in self-isolation right now? And how are you guys operating in these times? And thinking about the topic here today of people that are thinking about building a global company, does it really make a difference, or you guys were already all digital and thinking like that since day one?
Well, the beauty about it is, especially when you are involved with fintech, it's already technology involved. There's already technology in place. So the first thing that you actually need to build anything, you need internet. So as long as you have internet, you'll be able to work. And if your product solves, if you can work with that, so I think the first problem you already solved. So like my product can work anywhere that has internet. But on top of that, it's very important, like my colleague said, we need to pay attention a lot. Even you have to take this opportunity that the market is not that hot yet. So take this opportunity right now and start to think, where should you go? Where your company will look? What kind of market that you're actually going to go after? So it's like for us, like you mentioned, like the 45 million Brazilians unbanked. We are not going after them. We are going after the ones that is in the bank, and we want them to be unbanked because I don't want them on a bank. I want to take the client that is in a bank already and is using those kind of products to come to a new world. So to come to use a new technology. So for us, we have guys, just for you guys to have an idea how we operate global. I have guys working from Hong Kong, from Germany, from Costa Rica, from South Africa, Florianopolis, Brazil, and in Paraguay. So, and it doesn't change much. the way we operate. We already built, our company was built on top of the internet. So even if I say, for example, well, do I need to register my company in Brazil in order to work? No, I don't need that anymore. That's another thing that the fintechs will start to need to look is, what is the best place for me to be incorporated? It is Brazil with a bunch of taxes that Brazil has, or maybe it could be Liechtenstein and I can still operate in Brazil, or maybe it can be my neighbor, can be Uruguay, and I can still operate here. When you start to look at that situation, and I hate to say, the moment right now is really good, because if your solution works in this period, I think it's amazing. And just for me to finish, one thing that I'll tell every single one, that pay attention a lot on the regulation. Sometimes it's difficult to beat like Itaú. It's hard to beat those big banks because there is a bunch of regulation there. And then especially when you are involved in fintech, you're dealing with money. When you're dealing with money, situation is not that easy. So then, that being said, I think also is missing in Brazil, maybe like a sandbox, so those fintechs can actually be there and then test. And I think even what Banco Central is doing with the Pix will be a very good opportunity for fintechs that want to deal in Brazil and then also overseas, because we will see solutions being built that say, for example, someone in Japan be able to send money through a QR code to someone here in Brazil within seconds, with a very small price paying that thing. That for sure, people say, well, when that happened, will be amazing. Well, it happened this year. So the fintechs also need to look on those kind of things. But the most important, be careful with the regulation. When you're dealing with money, you have to be prepared. And especially because the big banks, there are a bunch of regulation and they will not let that go that easy. So like Flavio mentioned, it's complicated. A lot of fintechs will just disappear off the market. Of course, it's hard to fight the big banks. So that's why one thing he said is very important. Take a target in the market and go after that. Do all the homework and then make sure you can actually control that particular target.
Just to add to this, can you imagine in US, we have more than 6,000 banks. Here in Brazil, how many banks we have? But there you have specific banks to which segment you want to target. So I'm pretty sure that in the timeline, this is what happened here in Brazil.
Wow.
And Flavio, I mean, just to complement, I think in Brazil, I think the peaks actually we're gonna kind of help a little bit on that, because today, like if you are a fintech, according to the plans for the peaks, if you are a fintech, you can apply for your QR code, and then as long as the kind of payment that you're doing is not necessary a bunch of banking license that in Brazil it's very complicated to do it. So the fintechs are going to get a little bit of more power in order to do the payment. And the fintechs need to understand one thing: a big bank, there is a lot of rules for them to follow, and for them to move, they need approval from the board of directors. They need approval from this. They need approval from that. They are too big to move. Fintech can just adjust as the market needs, because you are small. You can test more. And of course, it's easy and then faster for you to do any solution. So be on top of this thing on peaks, because it's something very, very good. And there is something called in Brazil that whatever you do on the financial market or fintech or banking or payment solution, whatever you do in Brazil will work anywhere in the world.
For sure, will work for sure.
We're a great test market. Bruno, a question that pretty much every pre-seed company wants to know, but especially for fintechs. Who is investing in fintechs nowadays?
Actually, lots of people, because fintech is the vertical most invested in Latin America from the entire venture capital volume. So it's huge. It's about a quarter. It's 25% of the entire venture capital industry is going to fintech in Latin America. So everyone that it's an active investor, it's a fintech investor. That's not lots, but a few banks are also active. But sometimes it's tricky, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's weird, because when a bank is investing in a fintech, it could get a little weird in terms of competition and collaboration. It could, I mean, you could be in a situation like we use it to say something very weird. I probably Rocelo already heard that, or even told everyone that it's kind of a in the past, at least 5 years ago, it was like kind of making sex with the gorilla, which I never did. But if I did, I'm sure it's their way and not my way. So they kind of set the rules because they're too big. They're the biggest guy in the room, so they set the terms, and they have this historically aggressive type of negotiation. But I've been listening to different stories in 2020, right before the pandemic, that actually small monkeys were setting up the rules of the affair with the gorillas. And I would like to hear about you guys. Have you guys seen this changing lately, or is it big banks investing it properly in fintechs? Are they having promiscuous relationship with them?
I think the relation, the banks trying to change the relation, but still it's not a healthy relation, because it's hard to those big banks assume that the customer is not belong to them. It's really hard, but on the other hand, I started to see some banks, some big banks, start internal areas to dealing with startups, to dealing with bank as a service, to do just the back end. But it's a relation that still is not good for the fintechs. So if I could advise some fintechs is try to have conversation with middle banks. Don't look for the big banks. Go to those banks that clearly understand what will be the next level of competition of this market. Try to partner with those middle banks. This is my advice.
I think I'll pick a little bit of Flavio said, and remember, there is a bunch, forget about the big banks, especially in Brazil, all right? Or even overseas, like those UBS and all those guys. Remember, there is small banks, the medium ones, that they are dying for someone go there and say, hey guys, I have a nice app here. They are dying for that. They don't have that department, especially those traditional ones that is involved in investment. And now they are seeing that is a huge opportunity to them, and they don't need to build a branch. They don't have to have ATM machines with their name stamped on it because someone already did ATM machine and is already focused on ATM machine. Just look at TechBan doing. So in Brazil, so we don't have to have ATM anymore. Well, and in Brazil is going to come a law soon that Itaú has to process cards from Bradesco and all that. So we've been seeing those things. So like Flavio said, go to those guys that are in the middle and they are looking for someone that say, hey, look at me. And for sure, if you have a great solution and if you're talking, for them it's going to be good because they don't have to spend a lot of money and then start to learn again. They already have someone to do it. The big banks, I'll tell you one thing what the big banks going to do with you. They will learn from you. they will acquire your information and they're going to kick your ass out of their door. That's it. That's exactly what they're going to do. The middle one, they will say, right, you're more than welcome to come here. Let's grow together. That's where we're probably going to listen from them. Like us, we've been already approached by a few middle banks, especially some from South Africa. They want to talk about it. I never saw that coming. I mean, but now it's coming. They want to talk about how they can implement cryptocurrencies so their clients also can buy cryptocurrencies through their system, because it's easy to send money overseas. Well, I never saw that coming, and then it's coming. Great. So probably those small banks saw an opportunity and they are taking. So like, take exactly what Flavio said, go to the middle ones, because they are the ones that we're going to open the doors to you.
Guys, we're getting to the end of this conversation. I would like to get a little bit of the final consideration from each one of you guys. Keeping in mind that our listeners are thinking about launching their own fintechs, or they are already running and they're struggling or trying to grow even more. If you could give them any tip about how to move forward and how to see this pandemic as maybe an opportunity instead of a moment of crisis. Maybe let's start with Flavio, a few of your final considerations.
Yes, I think you have to target which segment of financial industry you want to get in. Payments, it's the obvious one, but I don't know, 50% of all fintechs are focused on payments. Try to move to credit, to crowdfunding. In those areas, I think we will have less of competition and more of cooperation. I think financial services doesn't mean necessarily payments. Try to look the big picture here.
Bruno? Bruno, you have mute on. Yeah.
Sorry, I would go for to the open banking side of it, the back office, back end type of financial services, just like I guess Flavio kind of mentioned. But you don't really need to do both payments, and you don't need to go B2C with distribution channels. You can go B2B, you can build infrastructure that can provide access to services in a more fluid and dynamic way, and not just in building the entire fintech like B2C side of it.
Rocelo?
Yeah, well, one thing you guys said is I agree 100%. Imagine you go in a payment system, you go to like a store, like a coffee shop, and then say, hey, look at my POS. The guy from the shop is going to show you another 5, because there is so many machines on top their shelf already to do the payment system. It's a lot of machines. So I don't think the market is already saturated on that. And the big companies, they're already there. If I have to tell you, is like, take this moment, learn about blockchain, learn about payments that can serve who is already there. So companies that need a solution, they already have their model on. So